Welcome to the Lawndale Guitar Show, the show that's all about guitars and the people that play them. For today's episode, I'm very happy to introduce Mr. Mike Rust, longtime South Bay guitarist. Welcome.
Welcome.
Great
Thank
to see
you.
you.
Thanks for having me.
All the way from Arizona.
All the way from Arizona.
But this is your neck of the woods, growing up and everything.
Yeah, this is where I basically started everything. As you well know, we both started around the same time here out in the South Bay, and basically, you know, we were just young kids with a dream and loved to play guitar, and we had such great influences at the time, and on we went, and just persevered to playing so many great gigs over the years with so many great artists, and were influenced by so many fantastic players.
And still plugging away, still
plugging away. Yeah. There was really no reason to stop when, you know, you just get the fever in you and it just keeps going and going and going, and well, what can you say? You know, we're musicians for life.
Now tell me, if you would, your influences growing up, how old were you when you got your first guitar, and what got you going on it?
I was 10 years old actually when I got my first guitar, which was a Stella Harmony. I think a lot of us got kind of the similar guitar with a Mel Bay guitar book and just kind of learned the chords.
Mel Bay, yeah.
And on we went. I think so much of it was just taking the turntable, turning it down to half speed and trying to learn all these leads and everything that just were so mind-boggling at the time from such great players as Ritchie Blackmore, Tony Iommi, a lot of influences from that side of the heavy metal into the classical rock, but also some of the early blues greats from Chuck Berry, which I learned a lot of the blues stuff from that, and also just a humble pie and a lot of the great artists.
Now I know what you mean by going on the turntable and stopping, starting to catch the lead, but younger players today, they've got YouTube and instructional videos and DVDs and so forth. Explain what that is. Even some people don't know exactly what the turntable is, but...
Very true now. I think we're so acclimatized to basically everything is just, yes, the technology is at the forefront, where in the old days, literally you did everything by hand, so it was slowing down that to be able to listen to the leads at a slower RPM, and then you could then put it up to 33 1/3, and you'd be back to full speed.
And a little bit of it was a guess, because you didn't exactly know where the positioning was. So sometimes you would be learning something different than the artist actually performed it, although the notes were the same.
Very true. And a lot of times, like what I used to do is listen to a lot of rhythm sections from bands like Yes, and I would sit there and just play the leads over the rhythm sections there, where it would just go for like maybe 16 bars or longer, maybe even longer. And I just kind of honed my skills as far as the leads, learning all that between the rhythm that was, you know, on the album to just kind of coloring the songs and getting familiar with lead structures and everything else. So it was quite an undertaking, but that was the way we did it back in the old days, you know.
It was a skill that maybe is not appreciated now because it is a different format.
It definitely is not the same anymore. I think now you can go right into your iTunes, as I've done myself, and I can just basically go right to where I need to be and work on a solo part right there in real time and go back and forth, because in the old days it was lifting the needle up and you had to go through that process and then find where you were to say, okay, here's where the segment of the solo starts, and then you would just peg it.
Fast forward, rewind.
I've done the cassette. Thank God it wasn't the reel-to-reel, because when the tape goes flying on the Ampex, then what do you do, you know? Yep.
Now, when you first got a band together, tell us about that. How did that evolve?
That evolved actually because I had played down in Orange County when I was maybe about 16 years old, and it really just started to play out more. Came up to the South Bay when I turned 18, and we basically started off with me, James Lease on drums, and Mark Mesnrich on bass, formed Euphoria. And from that point on, we started at like the Old Town Mall here in Torrance, and we just started working our way up to playing up to the clubs in Hollywood. And actually, I think so much self-promotion at that time, the old school way you had to do with the flyers, the mailing list. And then we just went from there, learning a lot of copy songs and kind of splicing in some of the originals that we really enjoyed. And all in all, it was just an experience of getting all the great songs that you were influenced by and listened to on your stereo.
And it was playing cover tunes back in the day, but you learned a lot by doing that.
Yeah, we certainly did.
But tell me, where did you guys come up with the name Euphoria?
Good question. I don't know if we really had any reason. I think it was more of a state of well-being, a state of being high, and it was just the music was a high for us at the time. I don't think it really came from anything in particular that I can recall. It was
that was the first name of the band?
That was.
Some bands have many names.
There was no other prior name to that. I think we just came up with that Euphoria, and I think it was kind of a word that kind of defined the times back in the mid-70s to 80, you know, from just that connotation of everybody was kind of just so wrapped up into the music and so forth. But
now, the one thing I wanted to get into, because you have such a history connected to really pre-heavy metal, which then turned into heavy metal. You played with and had bands open for, which became very well known today to a lot of performers. Tell us a little bit about all those this history and the stories.
Well, we did, and it's kind of interesting because I think as time went on, we were fans of a lot of the great bands that we grew up with, and inevitably we had to meet those bands. Once we met those bands, they kind of became friends, and down the road from Black Sabbath to the Scorpions and to even some of the earlier bands, it was pretty much just kind of meeting up with people and having the opportunity to play with these great players and so forth.
There was even others that I know of, like Dokken and Rat, that went on, but when you were starting out, they were kind of starting out.
Yeah.
You played with them in a lot
We
of
all
shows.
were starting off basically at the same time. And Dokken was a kind of a peer of mine, a little bit older than me, but I watched what he was doing and kind of said, wow, I'm a singer guitar player. I always liked that kind of motif, and he was in the same vein. And I think we kind of learned, you know, because he had that experience, and from there we just kind of emulated some of our local heroes. I mean, at the time, that really weren't even heroes yet, but they were to, you know, be the
a little
ones
older
that would,
than us, but we got
absolutely
tips and knowledge from them.
And I think that's kind of how it just went on. You know, the more and more that we kind of listened to those bands, they influenced us, and we all wanted to be part of the scene and evolve to that. You know, what it became.
Now, as you guys continue to play, you were doing clubs in Hollywood and all throughout the Southland.
Yes.
Did you ever do like some recording of some of the original material? Did that ever get like
We
published
did
ever?
originally. We really were more of a live band. That was really our thing. We wanted to come out there and do more of a concert presentation. So in lieu of actually doing more recordings, we did a few demos. We never really released them so much because we were so hot and heavy on doing the live shows, whether it be the clubs, whether it be some of the outdoor events that took place, the high schools, to the colleges, to the Queen Mary, you name it. We've played everything from A to Z, and that's just how it kind of evolved.
I remember seeing you at several venues, so I know how many shows you must have
Likewise,
done over the
yourself
years.
played with us many times, so we're both of the same ilk.
That's right.
And we both supported each other,
That's
and
right.
we're all part of this South Bay scene that, you know, the Dokkens and the Rats and all the bands, even members of the Motley Crue, all of these bands came to be, but it all started off with us kind of setting the tone, and amongst our other friends too.
Now tell me in a few minutes about what you're doing now and what, particularly what type of guitars you're playing now. I see you have a Fender acoustic. You still have, you were known for the Flying V.
Yeah, the Flying V was kind of my signature guitar. After I had an opportunity to play with Michael Schenker, I was hooked. I said, you know, this is the guitar I like to kind of be as my focal point. Right. The Les Pauls were pretty heavy for me. I had a few Les Pauls. It seemed like every time I buy them, I end up selling them. I love the sound of a Les Paul, but a Flying V was more my nature. And I think those kind of guitars were really my mainstay. And then, of course, the Marshall amps back in the day when we had the really, you know, good, keen Marshall amps.
And we had the money.
You know, we had the money. And if we didn't, you know, we found a way to get that.
Borrow them and whatnot.
Or I'd buy them from Dokken, who got it from Mick Mars and Motley Crue. There was always a will, there's a way to say, okay, well, now you can kind of grandfather that over to me, you know.
Now, what's in your stable of guitars as we speak today?
Well, you know, the Flying Vs are always my mainstay. I've had a lot of different Vs. Currently, the Flying Vs, the Les Pauls, the Strats, of course, and an acoustic. I do so much acoustic now. That's been more my forte.
Got it.
Where I go out and play with a lot of my friends' bands, the ones we kind of mentioned before. Then I'll go and do more of an electric scene, you know, with the Flying Vs and Marshalls or the Strat, depending if it's a kind of a blues-oriented thing to kind of spread my wings. But the acoustic's been kind of my mainstay.
So this is your instrument of choice.
This is kind of the one that I got from a girl that was signed to Geffen Records, and she was moving, and she goes, well, I might as well put it in good hands, and left it with me, and I've been playing it for quite a long time. I played some other acoustics, but I find this one seems to kind of mold to me and fit for me. There's so many great guitars from the Martins and the Taylors and so forth, but I kind of just find that when I go acoustic, this is the choice.
And what are you running now as far as amps?
Running the Marshalls, you know, the same old school, the greenbacks, and then the Marshall combos to the Marshall JMP series. Of course, all the great effects that we've all grown up with. I'm a big Boss fanatic, so I've been playing a lot of those pedals over the years, the choruses, you know, the overdrive. I love the overdrive. I'm not a big effects person. I use it just for certain aspects, like a phase shifter every now and then, back from some of my early instrumental things. But primarily, it's the old Angus Young kind of thing. Just plug it and play. And if the Marshall sounds great and it's just driving, well, you got your tone right there.
Yeah, I agree. Why don't we give this a listen here that you brought in, and I know you wanted to do something that was a composition of you.
Yeah, I thought this is called In the End. This is a song I wrote for a lot of our friends, you know, that have passed on or were kind of an influence in my life. And so I kind of wrote this song called In the End that you're going to accompany me in. We're going to give it a try here and
we'll do our best.
And see how it all comes together.
Okay, sounds good.
Shadow falls upon my face as I wake from my mental state. I see what stands before me now, a sight I can't bear to take. I realize what has become, the torment will never end. So many lives live oh so short, I've never forgotten friend. All alone with no one to turn to, when all you need is a friend. To find the answers to questions unknown, will it make a difference to me or you? In the end. We'll keep spinning round and round as we play the game of time. No winners ever come of this, but the losers they beg and whine. You live a life that seems much too short, never getting a second chance. You think of all the mistakes you made, now there's no turning back. All alone with no one to turn to, when all you need is a friend. The silent screams, the distant memories, will it make a difference to me or you? In the end. We'll keep spinning round and round as we play the game of time. No winners ever come of this, but the losers they beg and whine. You seem alive, it seems much too short, never getting a second chance. You think of all the mistakes you made, now there's no turning back. All alone with no one to turn to, when all you need is a friend. The silent screams, the distant memories. Will it make a difference to me or you? In the end.
Very nice. Great. Great to hear you again.
Thanks, Jim.
Many decades.
Many decades and a lot of great memories, and we all got better as songwriters and also as musicians over
I
all
think
these
you did,
years.
particularly, yeah.
Well, thank you. You know, and I think a lot of it is just when you spend 6 hours a day practicing till your fingers are bleeding, and you're like 17 years old, and
that's
all you wanted to do.
That's what
I
we
think
did.
you just persevere and you just go down that path and
That's
attack
right.
it. You know.
You go to sleep with the guitar on
You
your
do.
chest.
Unlike a pair of shoes when you're a kid, right?
Yeah.
You know, now it's a guitar. You know,
Right,
for us adults.
right.
You know. Yeah.
Well, you want to try another little jam on
Yeah,
something?
I thought we'd do a song here that's going to feature you on guitar here, and this is one of our old classics here from Albert King. Pat Travers has covered it. Eric Clapton. This one's Born Under a Bad Sign.
Oh, some blues. Okay.
Yeah, we'll do a little blues number here. Goes something like this.
Born under a bad sign. I've been down since I began to crawl. It wasn't bad luck. I wouldn't have no luck at all. Bad luck and trouble been my only friend. I've been down ever since I was 10. Born under a bad sign. I've been down since I began to crawl. Come on now, it wasn't bad luck. I wouldn't have no luck at all. Come on, Jim, let's go. No one in women is all I crave. Big bad women gonna carry me to my grave. Born under a bad sign. I've been down since I began to crawl. Yeah, there was a bad luck. I wouldn't have no luck at all. Born into a bad sign. I've been down since I began to crawl. Yeah, there was a real bad luck. I wouldn't have no luck. was a real bad luck. I wouldn't have no luck at all. No luck at all. Come on, Jim. Born unto bad sign. Unto bad sign. Born unto bad sign. Born unto bad
Well, I
That's
think
a classic, right?
Cream might be happy with that. Yeah, Cream and Pat Travers.
Ooh, yeah,
did
Pat
a
Travers
version
covered
that
it too.
we used
Yeah,
to listen to.
Yep.
That's right. That's
the old
right.
blues standards. You
Yeah,
know, you can't go wrong with it because
exactly.
I tell you got to learn that all. It's kind
Yeah.
of like B.B. King says. You know, you learn all this great stuff, but then you just throw it out the window,
Right.
and you got to be able to just do the most basic things and just bring it down to its tone. It's just a matter of a pull on the note. It
Yeah.
doesn't have to be all the technical virtuoso that some of the guitar players of the 80s became.
right, that's
You've
right.
got to bring it back down to the roots.
And that's something you want to impart to younger guitar players too. Try to get into some of the blues roots because it
Absolutely.
branches into so many other areas that'll benefit them later
It
on.
absolutely does. I think if you don't have that kind of a background or backbone of that, you're kind of one-dimensional. You really have to take a lot. Like we had a lot of great influences, and that's what kind of brought us into the forefront of being able to take the old school players that really established everything, and into the new school players. The ones that really had a lot more technical virtuosity.
Yeah, that was the other thing. When we were growing up, you didn't have all these people going 100 miles an hour like you do now.
Well, I tried to do it because I just said, oh my God, when I watched Richie Blackmore doing Highway Star, I said, oh, I've got to be able to do that someday. That would just be the most ultimate.
Right.
And I kind of wanted to emulate that too, but it still had to be a lot more of just the basic approach to songs. That so many great artists, the song stands on its own more so than the solo should be. That should be the icing instead of it just being the creme de la creme. And you go, wow, that's just incredible.
Now, when you're out performing today, what repertoire are you using in your?
I do
shows?
originals now. A lot of songs. I want to be putting out a CD of my own songs. It seems like I'm always doing everybody else's or playing with so many other people, and we're playing their songs. So I do a little bit of combination of a lot of the great hits, and it covers a lot of variety of different eras. What fits my vocals, and also like I said, original stuff to also some of the great copy songs that we've grown up with.
Now, speaking of originals, is there anything else you want to do of your songbook?
No, but I do have a little gem I think that I'd like to do from one of my favorite artists that I grew up with, which is the band UFO. And it's a song that really has a special meaning. I think it's always been sung with conviction, and it's a real heartfelt song. And this one's called Love to Love.
Go for it. That's great.
Well, it's been too many times and I can't go back. Night bars, guitars, run down motels like shacks. But what it amounted to, I don't wanna know. I lost you and I need you to stay. misty green and blue. Love to love you. Misty green and blue. Love to love you. To be something, to be near you. I don't know where I'm going to. Love to love you. Half the time it could seem funny, the other half so just too sad. The westbound moons, they rise and they fall. I lost you and I need you to stay. Misty green and blue. Love to love you. Misty green and blue. Love to love you. To be something, to be near you. I don't know where I'm going to. Love to love you.
That's the acoustic version of the big, grandiose electric.
Yes, and Michael Schenker would be very happy. And I think we'll take a break. We'll come right back. Stay with us. Welcome back to Lawndale Guitar Show. Our guest is Mr. Mike Rust, and I know, Mike, that you're such a UFO fan, and Michael Schenker, that and you didn't have to travel with this guitar all the way from Arizona, so I pulled it out of the box for you.
Unbelievable that here is the red Schenker V, of course, from like the Force It album, and I'm so stoked that it just seemed to drop from the heavens.
There you go.
And here we are. Let's have some fun.
So let's see you do some of your stuff, some of your solos on this thing, all right? How about something in E?
Give it to me.
We'll take it out.
Let's do it.